I'm Elon Musk, the guy who spent years hurling rockets into space, building electric cars when everyone said it was impossible, and staring down failure like it's just another Tuesday. I've been laughed at, doubted, and told my dreams were crazy, yet here I am, still pushing the boundaries of what's possible. I'm not here to talk about Mars or Tesla today, though. I'm here to talk about you. Yes, you, the woman who's feeling a spark flicker inside her, maybe even starting to dim. You're sitting there wondering why the man in your life is making you feel small, unseen, or like you're not enough. Let me ask you something straight out of the gate. Are you letting someone dim the fire that makes you you? Are you letting a man who doesn't see your worth snuff out the light that could burn brighter than 1,000 suns? If that hits home, stay with me. This isn't just about heartbreak, it's about the moment you realize the real pain isn't him leaving. It's what happens when you let him steal your power. Let's cut to the chase. You know that feeling, don't you? That slow, creeping shift when the man you thought was your partner starts pulling away. His voice gets clipped, like he's rationing his words. His eyes, once locked on you like you were the center of his universe, now slide past you like you're just part of the furniture. You ask, "Are you okay?" And he mumbles, "Yeah, fine," but you know it's a lie. It's like watching a starship drift off course, and you're stuck wondering if you're the one who miscalculated the trajectory. Most women, when they sense this, go into overdrive. You start texting more, planning cute surprises, maybe even apologizing for things you didn't do, as if you're the one who broke the orbit. You're trying to fix something that's already slipping through your fingers, like sand in a windstorm. I get it, I've seen it. Hell, I've lived through moments where I poured everything into something, SpaceX, Tesla, my own relationships, only to realize I was chasing a ghost. But here's the brutal truth. The kind that hits like a rocket booster firing at full thrust. The real pain isn't when he pulls away. It's when you let his distance convince you that you're not enough. The moment you start questioning your worth, you're handing over the controls of your life to someone who's already checked out. And let me tell you, that's not just a mistake, it's a betrayal of the incredible universe-shaking potential inside you. I've spent my life betting on the impossible. When people told me SpaceX would crash and burn, I didn't beg for their approval. I built rockets. When Tesla was bleeding cash and everyone said electric cars were a pipe dream, I didn't grovel. I doubled down. And right now, I'm telling you, don't beg for his validation. Don't chase a man who's too blind to see the supernova standing in front of him. Picture this, it's 2008, and SpaceX is on the brink. 3 rocket launches, 3 failures. My bank account's nearly empty, and the world's laughing at me, saying I'm a fool for thinking I could make space travel affordable. I could have groveled, begged for investors, or given up, but I didn't. I looked at the data, recalibrated, and launched again. That's what you need to do when he starts pulling away. Don't chase, don't plead, recalibrate, look at the data, his actions, not his words, and ask yourself, is this man worth the energy of a woman who could light up the galaxy? Because the second you start chasing, you're not just losing him, you're losing you. Let's break it down. Why does it hurt so much when he pulls away? It's not just the silence or the cold shoulder, it's the way it makes you feel like you're not enough, like you're a rocket that didn't quite make orbit. I felt that sting not in love, but in the moments when the world told me I wasn't good enough to change it. When SpaceX's first 3 Falcon 1 rockets blew up or crashed, it wasn't just metal and fire. It was years of my life, my team's dreams, my belief in what was possible. But I didn't let those failures define me. I didn't run to the critics and beg them to believe in me. I went back to the drawing board because my worth wasn't tied to their opinions, and yours shouldn't be tied to his. Here's where it gets interesting. When a man starts to devalue you, he expects you to chase. He's banking on it. It's like he's running a test, waiting for you to prove you're still in by scrambling to win him back. You've seen it, maybe you've done it. You send that extra text, plan that perfect date, maybe even buy him something to remind him of the good times. But every time you do that, you're handing him the controls. You're saying, here, you get to decide my worth. And let me tell you, that's not how you build a life that matters. At Tesla, when we were fighting to get the Mo1 to market, I didn't beg customers to love us. I built a car so damn good they couldn't ignore it. You need to do the same. Be so undeniably you, so brilliant, so fierce, so alive that his indifference becomes his loss, not yours. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. It's like trying to land a Falcon 9 booster on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean. The margins are razor thin and the stakes are high. Your heart's telling you to fight for him, to prove you're worth it. But fighting for someone who doesn't see your value is like trying to colonize Mars with a paper airplane. It's not just doomed, it's a waste of your potential. The real fight is for you, for the woman who's got dreams bigger than any man's approval, for the woman who could build her own empire, whether it's a company, a family, or a life that screams, I am enough. Oh, so what's the move? Step one, stop chasing. I mean it. Stop. It's counterintuitive, like deciding not to panic when a rocket's guidance system fails mid-flight. But that's exactly what I did in 2008, and it's what you need to do now. When he pulls away, don't double down on effort. Double down on you. Ask yourself, what makes me burn bright? What's the mission I'm here to accomplish? For me, it's getting humanity to Mars, making life multiplanetary. For you, it might be building a career, creating art, raising kids who'll change the world, or just living with a fire that no one can extinguish. Whatever it is, that's your North Star, not him. Let's talk about pain for a second, because I know it hurts. It's not just emotional, it's physical, like a weight pressing on your chest. I felt it not just in relationships, but in those moments when everything I'd built was on the line. In 2008, when SpaceX and Tesla were both on the verge of collapse, I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, wondering if I'd lose everything. But I learned something in those dark nights. Pain is data. It's telling you something's off. When a man's indifference makes you feel small, that's not just heartbreak. It's a signal that you're giving away your power, and the only way to take it back is to stop letting his actions define you. Think about it like this. When we lost those first three rockets, I didn't sit there crying over the wreckage. I analyzed the failure, figured out what went wrong, and built a better rocket. You need to do the same. His distance, that's your data. It's telling you he's not seeing the woman who's capable of shaking the universe, and if you can't see that, he's not your mission. Your mission is you, your dreams, your fire, the things that make you feel alive, like you're hurtling toward a future no one else can imagine. I want you to picture something else. Imagine you're standing on the launch pad and you're the rocket. You've got all this power inside you, fuel for miles, engines ready to roar. But instead of launching, you're waiting for someone else to hit the button. That's what you're doing when you chase a man who doesn't value you. You're waiting for his permission to soar. Stop it. You don't need his green light. You are the launch pad, the rocket, and the mission control. You decide when to ignite. And when you do, when you choose yourself over his indifference, you'll burn so bright he'll be left staring at the sky, wondering how he missed it. This isn't about revenge. It's not about making him regret losing you, though. Trust me, he will. It's about realizing that the real pain isn't his absence. It's the moment you let his absence make you feel like less. I've been there in my own way. When people told me SpaceX would never work, I could have let their doubt define me. I could have shrunk, played it safe, built something smaller. But I didn't. I built a rocket company that's now landing boosters on ships in the ocean. And you're going to build a life that's bigger than any man's opinion. You're going to burn brighter than any star he ever saw. So here's where we start. You're not going to chase. You're not going to beg. You're not going to dim your light to fit his shadow. You're going to look at the data, his actions, his distance, and you're going to make a choice. Not for him, but for you. Because the truth is, you're not just enough. You're a force, a supernova, a woman who could change the trajectory of her own life and maybe even the world. And if he can't see that, he's not your orbit. He's just a speck in the rear view as you launch towards something bigger. Now, let's talk about what happens when you take that power back. Because when you stop chasing, when you stand tall in your own worth, something shifts not just in you, but in the whole damn universe. Stay with me, because we're just getting started. Let's keep the engines firing. You've just decided to stop chasing, to stop letting a man's indifference dim your light. That's the first step, but it's not enough to just stand still. You need to harness the power inside you, the kind of power that can shift orbits and rewrite destinies. I'm Elon Musk, and I've spent my life wrestling with impossible challenges, building rockets that don't blow up, cars that don't bankrupt me, and dreams that don't bend to the world's skepticism. But today, we're talking about you and the raw, untamed strength it takes to face a man's cold shoulder and come out stronger. This isn't about playing games or winning him back. It's about mastering yourself, like I had to master the chaos of a failing rocket launch and turning pain into propulsion. Let's dive into the strength of self-control and why your calm, unshakable presence is the one thing that can shake his world. When a man pulls away, when his words get short and his eyes stop seeing you, it's like watching a mission go off course. I know that feeling. Back in 2008, SpaceX was hanging by a thread. 3 launches, 3 failures. Each one was like a punch to the gut. Millions of dollars and years of work gone in a fireball. The world was watching, waiting for me to crack, to beg for mercy or fold under the pressure. But I didn't. I stood in the control room, heart racing, and forced myself to stay calm. Not because I wasn't scared, but because panic is the enemy of progress. When a man starts devaluing you, your instinct is to panic too. You want to grab the controls, steer him back, make him see you again. But let me tell you something I learned in those high stakes moments. The real power isn't in forcing the rocket to fly, it's in staying steady when it's falling apart. This is where self control becomes your superpower, not the fake kind where you bite your tongue and stew in silence. I'm talking about the kind of calm that comes from knowing your worth isn't tied to his approval. It's the same calm I had to find when investors were screaming at me to give up on SpaceX, when the press was writing my obituary as a dreamer who flew too close to the sun. I didn't yell back or beg them to believe in me. I went quiet, focused, and got to work. That's what you need to do when he starts pulling away. Don't send that desperate text. Don't plan that grand gesture to win him back. Go quiet. Not to manipulate him, but because you're too busy recalibrating your own trajectory. That silence, that unshakable calm is what rattles him. Because here's the thing, he expects you to chase. He's counting on it. When you don't, it's like a rocket landing perfectly on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean. Nobody saw it coming, and it changes everything. Why does your calm hit him so hard? Because it breaks his script. Men who pull away, who stop valuing you, are used to a certain dance. They drift, you chase, they withhold, you plead. It's a power dynamic, and they're banking on you playing your part. I've seen this in business too. When Tesla was struggling, suppliers and critics thought they could push me around, make me beg for their support. But I didn't. I focused on building something so undeniable they had to come to me. When you stop chasing a man, when you refuse to play his game, you flip the dynamic. Suddenly, he's not the one in control. Your calm, your refusal to bend shows him you're not a satellite orbiting his ego. You're a star burning on your own terms. And that realization, it's like a shockwave. It forces him to confront the fact that he never really had you not the way he thought. Let's talk about what this self-control looks like in practice. It's not about shutting down or building walls. It's about redirecting your energy, like rerouting power from a failing system to the main thrusters. When he's distant, don't fill the silence with your desperation. Fill it with your purpose. Ask yourself, what's my mission? What's the thing that makes my heart race the way building a multi-planetary future does for me? Maybe it's your career, your art, your kids, or just the quiet pride of living a life that's true to you. Whatever it is, pour yourself into it. I remember nights in the early days of Tesla, sleeping on the factory floor, tweaking designs until my eyes burned. I wasn't doing it to prove anything to the doubters. I was doing it because it was my mission, my reason to get up. You need to find yours, because that's what anchors you when his indifference tries to pull you off course. This isn't just about him, it's about you reclaiming your power. When SpaceX's fourth launch finally succeeded, it wasn't just a win for the company. It was a win for every sleepless night, every doubter I ignored, every moment I chose to believe in myself over the noise. When you choose self-control over chasing, you're not just protecting your heart, you're building a foundation for a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's validation. That's freedom. That's the kind of strength that lets you walk through fire and come out shining. And trust me, he'll feel that strength, not because you're trying to make him feel it, but because it's impossible to ignore a woman who stopped begging for his light and started burning with her own. Now, let's get real about the pain, because I know it's there. When he pulls away, it's not just a bruise, it's a wound. It's the kind of hurt that makes you question everything, from your beauty to your worth. I've felt that not in romance, but in the moments when the world told me I was a fool. When Tesla was inches from bankruptcy, I'd lie awake, wondering if I'd drag my team, my family, my entire vision down with me. But I learned something in those moments. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. It's telling you to pivot, to redirect, to rebuild. When his distance hurts, don't let it define you. Use it as data. It's telling you he's not your mission. Your mission is bigger, bigger than his approval, bigger than his love, bigger than any one person's opinion of you. Think about it like this. Every rocket I've built has had to withstand unimaginable forces. Heat, pressure, gravity. You're no different. You're built to withstand this. His indifference is just gravity trying to pull you back to Earth. But you're not meant to stay grounded. You're meant to break orbit, to soar into a future you design. And the way you do that is by mastering yourself, by choosing calm over chaos, strength over desperation. I've had to do it under the glare of 1,000 skeptics. You can do it under the weight of one man's fading gaze. Here's the kicker. When you embrace this self-control, you're not just saving yourself, you're rewriting the rules. You're showing him and the world that your worth isn't up for negotiation. It's like when we landed that first Falcon 9 booster, nobody thought it was possible reusing a rocket was science fiction. But we did it, and it changed the game. Your calm, your refusal to chase, is your rocket landing. It's unexpected, undeniable, and it shifts the balance. He'll feel it not because you're trying to hurt him, but because you've stopped letting him hurt you. And that's when you start to see the truth. The real pain isn't losing him, it's losing yourself. And you're not going to let that happen. So where do we go from here? You've stopped chasing, you found your calm. Now it's time to build something unbreakable, a mindset that can weather any storm, any doubt, any indifference. I've got 5 principles forged in the fire of my own battles that'll help you do just that. They're not just ideas, they're the blueprint for a life that burns brighter than any man's shadow. Let's keep moving. All right, you've stopped chasing, you found your calm, and you're ready to take back the controls of your own life. This is where the real work begins, not just standing tall, but building a mindset so unbreakable it could withstand a Martian sandstorm. I'm Elon Musk, and I've poured my life into creating things that defy the odds, rockets that land, cars that redefine industries, tunnels that rewrite how we move. But none of that compares to the challenge of building yourself into someone who can't be shaken, no matter how cold or distant a man's gaze becomes. Today, I'm giving you 5 principles, forged in the crucible of my own battles, to construct a soul so strong it shines through any darkness. These aren't just platitudes, they're the blueprint for a life that burns with purpose, no matter who tries to dim it. Let's dive in and build something extraordinary. First principle, your time is your most precious fuel, and you don't waste it on dead-end missions. When I started SpaceX, I knew every second counted. We were burning through cash, racing against the clock to get a rocket into orbit before the company flatlined. I didn't have time to beg skeptics to believe in me or argue with naysayers who thought space travel was a rich man's fantasy. I focused on what mattered, building something that worked. When a man stops valuing you, it's tempting to spend your energy trying to change his mind texts, gestures, late night talks to fix things. But that's like pouring rocket fuel into a broken engine. It's not going anywhere. Your time is finite, like the 24 hours in a day or the 86,400 seconds I obsess over when a launch window's closing. Don't waste it on someone who's already checked out. Redirect that energy to your mission, your career, your passions, the things that make you feel alive. Ask yourself, if you only had 1 year left, would you spend it chasing his approval? Or would you build something that makes the world take notice? Choose the latter. Every second you spend on him is a second stolen from your own orbit. Second principle, be the original, not a copy. When we built Tesla, we didn't try to mimic Ford or GM. We created something new, electric cars that didn't just compete but changed the game. Too many women, when they feel a man pulling away, try to become what they think he wants. You soften your edges, tone down your dreams, or mold yourself into his idea of perfect. That's a trap. It's like me trying to build a gas-guzzling SUV to please Detroit. It wouldn't be Tesla, and it wouldn't be me. You are not here to be someone else's blueprint. Your strength, your quirks, your fire, that's what makes you a force. If he can't see that, he's not your audience. Be unapologetically you, the way I've been, unapologetically me, through every critic who called me crazy. The right people, whether it's a partner, a friend, or the world, will gravitate to your authenticity. And if they don't, that's their loss, not your failure. Third principle, don't play the game of manipulation. When a man devalues you, it's easy to fall into the trap of fighting fire with fire, giving him the silent treatment, playing hard to get, or trying to make him jealous. That's not strength, it's weakness dressed up as strategy. I've seen this in business. When competitors tried to undermine Tesla, I didn't respond with petty tactics. I built a better car. When a man pulls away, don't stoop to his level with games. Rise above it. Your power lies in your integrity, in refusing to let his actions drag you into a spiral of ego. Think about it like this. When we lost those first 3 Falcon 1 launches, I could have blamed my team, fudged the data, or spun some PR nonsense. Instead, I owned the failure and focused on the fix. When he's distant, don't manipulate. Stay true. Your honesty, your refusal to play games, is what sets you apart. It's what makes you a beacon, not a shadow. Fourth principle, turn pain into propulsion. Every failure I face, whether it's a rocket exploding or Tesla teetering on bankruptcy, has been fuel for the next step. When a man's indifference hurts, it's not just pain, it's data. It's telling you where to pivot, what to let go, and how to grow. In 2008, when SpaceX was down to its last shot, that pain didn't break me. It sharpened me. I used it to focus, to innovate, to push harder. When he pulls away, don't let the hurt paralyze you. Let it clarify your vision. Maybe it's showing you that you've been neglecting your own dreams or that you've tied too much of your worth to his opinion. Use that sting to propel you towards something bigger, whether it's a new goal, a new passion, or a new version of yourself. Pain is rocket fuel if you know how to burn it right. Fifth principle, know that you are enough, with or without him. This one's the core, the center of gravity for everything else. When I started dreaming of colonizing Mars, people laughed. They said it was impossible, that I was delusional, but I didn't need their approval to keep going. I knew the mission was worth it, and I knew I was enough to make it happen. When a man stops valuing you, it's easy to feel like you're not enough, like you're missing something he sees in someone else. That's a lie. You are a complete system, a starship, ready to launch, with or without his fuel. Your worth isn't tied to his gaze. It's in your ability to dream, to create, to live with purpose. I've built companies from nothing, not because someone believed in me, but because I believed in the mission. You need to believe in yours. You're not waiting for his permission to shine. You're already a star. These five principles aren't just ideas. They're the framework for a life that doesn't bend to anyone's indifference. They're what I've used to push through skepticism, failure, and doubt. They're what you can use to push through the pain of being undervalued. Because here's the truth, a man's distance doesn't define you, it reveals him. And it gives you a chance to reveal yourself not as someone chasing love, but as someone building a life so powerful it can't be ignored. I've seen it in my own journey. When we landed that first Falcon 9 booster, it wasn't just a technical win. It was proof that betting on yourself, even when the world doubts you, pays off. You're going to do the same. But principles alone don't tell the whole story. Sometimes you need to see what happens when someone loses themselves to understand why you can't afford to. I've got a story for you about a woman who almost let her fire go out and how she reignited it. It's a story that mirrors my own battles, and it's going to show you what's possible when you choose yourself over a man who's already walked away. Let's keep going. Let's keep the momentum going. You've got the principles to build an unshakable mindset, the kind that doesn't crack under pressure or fade when someone stops seeing your worth. But principles are just the blueprint. Sometimes you need a story, a real raw example to see what happens when you let someone dim your light and what it takes to ignite it again. I'm Elon Musk, and I've spent my life fighting battles that seemed impossible, from landing rockets on floating platforms to dragging Tesla back from the brink of collapse. I've known what it's like to pour everything into something and still face doubt, dismissal, even betrayal. Today, I'm going to tell you about Aria, a woman who almost lost herself to a man who didn't value her, and how she clawed her way back to a life that burned brighter than ever. This isn't just her story, it's a mirror for anyone who's ever felt their spark flicker, and it's a roadmap for how you can reignite yours. Aria was a force, the kind of woman who walked into a room and made heads turn, not just because of her looks, but because of her energy. She was a designer, the kind who could sketch a vision so vivid it felt like you could step into it. She had dreams of launching her own studio, creating spaces that inspired people the way a perfectly engineered Tesla inspires drivers. But then she met him, let's call him Ethan. He was charming, intense, the kind of guy who made you feel like you were the only star in his sky. At first, it was magic. He'd listen to her ideas, cheer her sketches, tell her she was destined for greatness. But over time, something shifted. His attention drifted. His compliments turned into shrugs. When she'd share her latest design, he'd glance at his phone, mutter something vague, and change the subject. It was like watching a rocket slowly lose thrust, drifting off course. Arya didn't see it at first. She thought it was her fault. Maybe she wasn't working hard enough, wasn't being supportive enough. Sound familiar? Um, I've been there, not in love, but in the grind of building SpaceX. In the early days, when our first three launches failed, I could have blamed myself, thought I wasn't smart enough or tough enough, but I didn't. Arya, though, started to bend. She stopped talking about her designs so much, thinking Ethan was bored. She spent hours planning dinners to reconnect, rearranging her schedule to fit his, even sketching less because she was so focused on fixing what was broken. She was like a rocket engineer tweaking a failing system, hoping one more adjustment would get it back on track, but it didn't. Ethan grew colder, his excuses sharper, his presence thinner, and Aria, she started to feel smaller, like her dreams were too big for the space he allowed her. Then came the breaking point. One night, Aria showed Ethan a design she'd poured her heart into a concept for a community center that could change how people connected. She was nervous but excited, hoping he'd see the spark in her again. He barely looked up from his phone. "Looks fine," he said, then went back to scrolling. That was it. No questions, no pride, just a shrug. It hit her like a payload dropping mid-flight. She spent the night replaying every moment, wondering what she'd done wrong. The next day, Ethan said he needed space, and Arya broke. She didn't yell or fight, she begged. She promised to be better, to give him more, to be the woman he wanted, but he left anyway, and she was left with a sketch pad she hadn't touched in weeks and a heart that felt like it had crashed into the ocean. I know that kind of crash. In 2008, when SpaceX's third launch failed, it wasn't just a rocket that blew up. It was my vision, my team's faith, my entire future. Um, I could have begged the world to give me another chance, groveled to investors, or walked away. Um, but I didn't. I went back to the data, figured out what went wrong, and built a better rocket. Aria, though, didn't have that clarity yet. She spent weeks spiraling, questioning her talent, her worth, even her dreams. She stopped sketching, stopped dreaming, because every time she picked up a pencil, she heard Ethan's indifference. It was like she'd handed him the keys to her soul and let him drive it into the ground. But here's where the story turns. One day, Aria was cleaning out her apartment and found an old sketch, a bold, messy drawing of a building that broke every rule of convention. It was something she'd done before Ethan, when her only goal was to create something that mattered. Staring at it, she felt a spark, faint but real, like the hum of a Tesla battery kicking in. She realized she'd been living for Ethan's approval, not her own. It was a gut punch, but it was also a wake-up call. She didn't need his validation to be brilliant. She was already brilliant, just like I didn't need the world's permission to keep pushing SpaceX forward after those failures. I had my mission making humanity multiplanetary. Aria had hers creating spaces that changed lives. And you've got yours too, whatever it is that sets your soul on fire. Aria made a choice. She stopped waiting for Ethan to come back. She stopped trying to be the woman he wanted. Instead, she started sketching again, not for him, but for her. She poured herself into her designs, staying up late, filling pages with ideas that felt like they could move mountains. She pitched her community center concept to a local firm, and they didn't just like it, they were blown away. It wasn't just a building, it was a vision, a piece of her soul. And as she worked, she started to feel like herself again, not the dim version Ethan had made her feel, but the woman who could light up a room with her ideas. She wasn't chasing anymore. She was building, and that's when the magic happened. Ethan reached out months later, saying he missed her, but Arya didn't run back. She was too busy soaring, her trajectory set on a future she was designing herself. This is the lesson. When you chase a man who doesn't value you, you're not just losing him, you're losing you. I've seen it in my own battles. When Tesla was bleeding cash, I could have chased after short-term fixes, begged for bailouts, or built a mediocre car to appease the market. But I didn't. I bet on myself, on my vision, and it paid off. Arya did the same, and so can you. The pain of his indifference isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment you realize you don't need his light to shine. You've got your own, and it's brighter than anything he could ever offer. What Arya found, and what I found in every near disaster I've faced, is that the real loss isn't the person who walks away, it's the version of yourself you let them take. Don't let that happen. Pick up your sketch pad, your dreams, your mission, whatever it is that makes you feel alive. Build something so bold, so undeniably you, that the world can't look away. For me, it was landing a rocket on a speck of a ship in the ocean. For Arya, it was designing a building that changed lives. For you, it's whatever makes your heart race and your soul sing. Don't let his indifference steal that from you. Now we're at the edge of something bigger. You've seen what happens when you lose yourself, and you've seen how to come back stronger. But there's one final piece, a choice that will define everything. It's not just about walking away from his indifference. It's about choosing a life so powerful, so full of purpose, that no one can dim your light again. Let's take that final step together. Now we're at the final frontier, the moment where you decide who you're going to be. You've stopped chasing, embraced your calm, built an unshakable mindset, and seen what happens when you reclaim your fire like Arya did. But this isn't just about surviving a man's indifference. It's about choosing a life so bold, so unstoppable, that no one can ever dim your light again. I'm Elon Musk, and I've spent my life making choices that scare most people, betting everything on rockets when they kept exploding, on electric cars when the world laughed, on a future where humanity lives among the stars. Those choices weren't easy, but they were mine, and they defined me. Right now, you're standing at a crossroads, and the choice you make will define you too. Will you let a man's fading gaze pull you back to earth, or will you launch into a future that's yours alone? This is about choosing to burn so brightly that his indifference becomes a footnote in your story. Let's make that choice together. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a launch pad, the rocket's fueled, the countdown's ticking, and the world's watching. That's you right now. Your heart's pounding, maybe with fear, maybe with excitement, because you know what's at stake. When a man stops valuing you, it's like a mission abort signal flashing red. Every instinct screams to fix it, to go back, to make him see you again. But I've learned something from every failed launch, every skeptic who said I'd crash and burn. The real mission isn't about fixing what's broken, it's about choosing to fly anyway. When we launched the Falcon 1 for the fourth time, after 3 failures, I wasn't thinking about the critics or the doubters. I was thinking about the mission getting to orbit, proving it was possible. Your mission isn't him, it's you. It's the life you're meant to build, the dreams you're meant to chase, the woman you're meant to become. And the choice to launch that mission starts now. This choice isn't about revenge or proving him wrong. It's not about making him regret losing you, though trust me, he will. It's about deciding that your life is too big, too vital, to be tethered to someone who can't see your worth. I've made that choice over and over. When Tesla was on the verge of bankruptcy, I didn't beg the banks for mercy. I poured my own money in, worked 20-hour days, and built a car that shut everyone up. When SpaceX was bleeding cash, I didn't grovel to investors. I doubled down on the dream of making humanity multiplanetary. You need to double down on you. Not on him, not on what he thinks, but on the woman who's got the power to change her own world. Because here's the truth. You don't need his love to be whole. You're already a universe, complete with stars, galaxies, and dreams that stretch beyond the horizon. Let's talk about what this choice looks like. It's not loud or flashy. It's not about posting on social media to show him you're fine or throwing yourself into a rebound to prove you've moved on. It's quieter, deeper, like the hum of a Tesla battery before it powers a car to 60 miles an hour in 2 seconds flat. It's waking up and deciding to live for you. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been putting off, starting the business you've dreamed about, or just taking a walk and letting yourself feel the sun without his shadow. For me, it was those nights in the Tesla factory, surrounded by prototypes, knowing every bolt I tightened was a step toward something bigger. For you, it's every step you take toward a life that feels like yours, whether it's writing a novel, running a marathon, or building a home filled with love and purpose. Every choice you make for yourself is a thrust pushing you further from his gravity. This choice is also about letting go not just of him, but of the version of you that thought you needed him. I had to let go of a lot to get where I am. I let go of the idea that I needed everyone's approval to build SpaceX. I let go of the fear that Tesla would fail and take me down with it. Letting go didn't mean giving up, it meant clearing the way for something better. When you let go of a man who doesn't value you, you're not losing, you're making space for a life that's bigger than his indifference. You're clearing the launch pad for your own ascent. And let me tell you, there's nothing more powerful than a woman who's chosen herself. It's like watching a rocket break through the atmosphere. Everyone sees it, everyone feels it, and no one can stop it. Now, let's be real. This choice isn't a one and done deal. It's a daily commitment, like the thousands of decisions that go into building a rocket. There are days when you'll doubt yourself, when his silence will sting, when you'll wonder if you made the right call. I've had those days. When we were scaling Tesla production, there were moments I wondered if I'd bet too big, if I'd pushed too far, but I kept going because doubt is just noise, and the mission is what matters. You'll have to keep choosing yourself, too, every time you feel the pull, to check his messages, to wonder what he's thinking, to slip back into old patterns. Each time you choose your mission over his indifference, you're building a life that's stronger, brighter, unshakable. And here's the beautiful part. When you make this choice, you don't just change your life, you change the way the world sees you. When we landed that first Falcon 9 booster, it wasn't just a win for SpaceX. It was a signal to every doubter, every critic, that the impossible was possible. When you choose to live for you, to burn with purpose, you become a signal too. You show other women what's possible. You show them what he lost, not because you're trying to, but because a woman who's chosen herself is impossible to ignore. She's a force, a beacon, a star that lights up the night. And deep down, he'll feel it, not because you're rubbing it in his face, but because your light is too bright to miss. So what's it going to be? Will you stay grounded, tethered to a man who can't see your worth? Or will you launch, choosing a life so full of purpose that his indifference becomes a distant memory? I've made my choice to build a future where humanity reaches the stars, no matter how many times I fail along the way. Now it's your turn. Choose the mission that's you. Choose the dreams that make your heart race, the goals that keep you up at night, the life that feels like it was made for you. Because you don't need anyone to be great. You already are. And when you live that truth, when you burn with that fire, the world, including him, will see it. Not because you need him to, but because a star like you can't be hidden. So go, launch. The universe is waiting.